You all know about the original Game Boy that released in 1989, but you may be forgiven for not necessarily knowing about the Game Boy Pocket, which I have right here. This is my own version of this. I bought this at Comic-Con. It is in fairly good condition, but it is missing the backplate. This is an aftermarket clear battery backplate here. So you should be able to see both consoles in front of you now. The original Game Boy that I've got here is reshelled into this blue shell, so ignore that. But otherwise there are some quite significant differences between the consoles. One is that it's quite a lot smaller, but it didn't change the functionality that much. This could almost be seen as a Game Boy Slim if it were named but with today's standards. So what did it change in the 7 years since the original Game Boy released? Well, as you can see, it's a lot smaller, and in hand it's significantly lighter than the original Game Boy. A lot of this is due to the fact it only uses AAA batteries, and 2 of them at that, instead of the 4 AA batteries that the original Game Boy uses, which is obviously a lot better for the environment as well, especially if you can pick up some rechargeable ones. And it still gets around 10 hours of battery life on a pair of those batteries, but rechargeable is definitely the way to go. It has a DC power jack here on the bottom, which is a definite upgrade since the original Game Boy, because it means you don't have to use those batteries. You can use this plugged into the wall if you're not using it out and about. The Pocket also has a smaller link port here on the left-hand side of the device, and this was used on all subsequent Game Boys apart from the Game Boy Micro, so that port is compatible with every Game Boy, which is also cool. The screen was changed into a true black and white display, which you can see when I'm playing the device here. Instead of the original green display that the other Game Boy has, which was not that great. This one is black and white. It actually looks really nice. It has this contrast shader on the side, which lets you choose the amount of contrast you've got for different lighting conditions. And I would say even in quite low light, this screen is very visible and is a definite upgrade. It's actually one of my favorite Game Boy screens, and it's just such a great form factor. But it also improved the screen in another way. It improved the pixel response time, which means it eliminated a lot of ghosting that was present on the previous Game Boy, making a lot of fast-paced games a lot better to play. It also had a power LED, but only on the later models. You can see it here on my console, but on the earlier models they didn't have one, and that was added back by popular demand by Nintendo, so it's an example of Nintendo actually listening to their customers. So that's a bit about the unit itself. I do have to say it's a lovely size and it's really nice to feel and play with, but how does it hold up in 2020? Firstly, yeah, the form factor is brilliant. It's just great to play for hours and hours, and it really is just that right size. I prefer it, even for, like, if I've got a game on that was re-released on Game Boy Color, I often prefer the original game just because I can play it on this device. It's really lovely to play. It's just exactly the right size. The screen's not backlit. Now that's a big issue, and they didn't introduce a backlit screen up until the Game Boy Advance SP. You can backlight this, but as I said, the screen is quite visible as long as you're not playing at night. If you have some light, I would say this is absolutely fine and doesn't need to be modded. So it is a great display, especially because of the size, and to be honest, I have no intention to mod mine, unlike my Game Boy Advance, which I'll make a video on. I actually think this screen is great, but that is definitely a drawback compared to a modern console. A great have for today, actually, is a full-size headphone jack, which the Game Boy Advance SP does not have, which is brilliant. It means you can actually plug in a set of wired headphones and listen to it, and the sound coming from this thing is quite clear through both the speaker, I'll try and give you a sound test of that, and through the headphone jack itself. It is quite great. Overall, these things are fairly cheap. You can pick them up on eBay for around £40, and anyone who's considering it, I definitely recommend you buy one. This is a cool piece of history. It has modding potential. They're quite easy to restore as well if you did have any problems with them, if there's some battery acid leak or anything like that. If you want to see a video on that, please let me know down below. But if you're thinking about it, I recommend picking one of these up, definitely. I absolutely love to play on it, and there's so many games in the Game Boy library. The only other problem I will mention is if you're thinking of picking up a flash cart for these, so a cartridge that lets you download ROMs somewhat illegally, or you could rip them legally from your own Game Boy games, actually, then the Pocket may not be the console for you. And the reason for that is it uses these 2 AAA batteries. They don't provide that much power, and notoriously flash carts drain quite a lot of power, so you may experience stability problems. So that could be an issue. So if you're thinking of doing that, maybe think of something else. But if you want to play on original hardware, which is what I like to do on this device, then the Game Boy Pocket is definitely the way for you. Okay, thank you guys for watching. Please like, please subscribe if you want to see more. We don't just do videos on Game Boys, it's all kinds of tech, retro tech, basically anything that I think would be interesting for you. So please give us a like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.